Thank you. Ngaphambi kokuthi siqale asicele nje ziningi la ngaphambili izitole. Cela nje laba bangasemuva beze la ngaphambili ukwenzela ukuthi laba bazofika late bangaphoqeleki baphazamise sebekhona ngaphakathi emhlanganweni. So ngizocela nje laba basemuva nize nje ngaphambili ukwenzela ukuthi ofika late ahlale ngemuva.
Those at the back, please come to the front seats so that those who will join us later won't have to disturb the proceedings of the meeting, but will just occupy those seats at the back, please.
Iyona ke lento sibona ukuthi asiqala ukwenzela ukuthi laba baeli abafike ngesikhathi bangatholi punishment ngenxa yalaba bazofika late.
That's why we decided that we rather start right now earlier so that those that came early shouldn't get punishment because they were on time.
I need to introduce now the team that you see in front of you.
Ngizocela ukwethula njengamanje ithimba leli nilibonayo eliphambi kwenu.
We are the Portfolio Committee on Mineral Resources and Energy.
Si portfolio committee yezokumbiwa namandla.
We are from the National Assembly.
Si suka kwiParliamente kazwelonke.
On my far left, we have Honorable Phillips.
Kwesokunxele umhlonisho Phillips.
Next to her, we have got Honorable Mutsepe.
Eduze kwakhe umhlonisho Mtsepe.
Next to me, on my left, is Honorable Jafta.
Umhlonisho uJafta kwesokunxele sam.
On my right is Honorable Volmarans.
Honorable Volmarans kwesokudla.
Next to him, it's Honorable Malinga.
Kube umhlonisho uMalinga eduze kwakhe.
Next to Honorable Malinga is Honorable Zungula.
Bese sigcina ngomhlonisho uZungula.
The one who is speaking is Mr. Luzipo, the chairperson of the Portfolio
Okhulumayo
Committee.
phambi kwenu umnumzana uLuzipo usihlalo wale portfolio committee.
We are here because of a proposed legislation by the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy.
Silana namhlanje ngenxa yomthetho sivivinywa wemnyango wezokumbiwa namandla.
As a portfolio committee, when they came to present this bill, we decided not to discuss the bill, but visit provinces to hear what are the views of those provinces, of the public.
Njenge portfolio committee bathe uma besethulela lo mthetho sivivinywa sathi asingayidingidi kuqale kodwa asiqale kuyifundazwe zonke sizwe ukuthi amalungu omphakathi zithini izimvo zawo.
So this is not a bill from the committee, this is a bill from the department.
Ngamanye amazwi lo mthetho sivivinyo awusuki kithi njengekomiti kodwa usuka kumnyango wezokumbiwa kanye namandla.
Only when we have finalized public hearings, we will then be able to deliberate and make recommendations on the bill.
Kungaleso sikhathi uma sesiqedile ukuzwa izimvo zomphakathi kungaleso sikhathi ke la khona ke esoyidingida siyithamunde bese sakha izincomo senza izincomo ngalomthetho sivivinyo.
So we will urge you to express your views on the contents of the bill.
Sizocela ukuthi nizwakalise izimvo zenu ukuthi nithini ngalokho okuqukethwe ilomthetho sivivinywa na.
Those who are old enough will know that it has never been a culture previously to go on consult on a legislation.
Labo asebekhulile bayazi ukuthi ade kungenziwa lokho kudala ukuthi uma kuphasisa umthetho kubuzwe umphakathi noma abantu ukuthi bacabangani.
Laws were made without the participation of the public.
Imithetho yayishaywa nje kungaqiziqakala ukuthi abantu bacabangane noma bathini.
Even though it were to affect the public.
Noma lo mthetho yayibathinta ngqo.
So we want to hear your views, not for us to tell you what you must say.
Sifisa ukuzwa ke izimvo zenu akusumsebenzi wethu ukuthi sinitshele ukuthi fanele nithini.
So just feel free and say what you think this bill should say.
Khululekanike nisho konke nisitshele ukuthi nifisa ngabe lo mthetho sivivinyo uthini kahle kahle.
This is, I must also explain from the onset, you have a right to reject, you have a right also to accept, but give us reasons why are you rejecting and why are you accepting the proposals on the bill.
Angicaciseke kusaqala nje ukuthi uma usukuma uyasho ukuthi lo mthetho sivivinyo uchitha noma uyawumukela. Kodwa besisho ukuthi ngiuchitha ngalezi izizathu noma ngiwamukela ngalezi izizathu.
Just one thing I must say, all of us, we must know is that if the bill or amendments to a bill are rejected, it means the current or the old act remains intact.
Angicaciseke futhi nalokho ukuthi uma ukuchitshiyela kwale bill noma izincomo ezochibela kwale bill zingaphasi zingaphumeleli lokho kusho ukuthi umthetho omdala okhona iwona ozohlala ungashintshile.
Number two, the fact that the law may not affect you now, it doesn't mean it won't affect you in future or it won't affect the generations after you.
Okwesibili ukuthi umthetho awukuthinti noma ukulimazi njengamanje akusho ukuthi ngeke ukulimaze noma ngeke ukuthinte kusasa nakuyizukulwane ezizemva kwakho.
So it's important that when we deal with the making of a law, we understand that the law has got implications, maybe not today, but even in the future.
Kubalekile ukuqonda kahle ukuthi uma sishaya umthetho esiwushayayo awugcini nje manje kodwa uzophinde uthinte nezizukulwane ezizayo kusasa.
But browsing through on what is being suggested by the department in terms of the new law,
Uma nje ngibuka ngika phezulu ukuthi uthini lo mthetho sivivinyo ohlongozwa umnyango.
currently we have got an act which is called the MPRDA, which is the Mineral and Petroleum Regulation Development Act.
Njengamanje sinomthetho khona okuthiwa iMPRDA njengoba iseyishilo ngolimi lwesilungu.
That law regulates both mineral provision as well as petroleum provision.
Lo mthetho ubusa noma uphethe konke okumbiwa phansi kanye noku-oyela negas.
Now, the department is proposing a standalone legislation, which is the Upstream Petroleum Resources Development Bill.
Manje umnyango uhlongoza ukuthi awuhlukaniswe ke lamandla noma lo mthetho lo ohlongozwayo njengamanje uzothuthukiswa ukukhiqizwa kuka-oyela wasolwandle.
Secondly, the department is also proposing that there must be certainty on exploration and production in the petroleum industry.
Okwesibili lo mthetho sivivinyo uthi umnyango awuqiniseka ukuthi kuba nozinzo ekukhiqizweni nokuhlonzwa kwaoyela wasolwandle.
They also propose that the law must enhance state participation at an upstream level.
Lo mthetho sivivinyo futhi ufisa ukuthuthukisa ukubamba iqhaza kombuso kulemboni yokukhiqizwa nokuhlonzwa kaoyela wasolwandle.
They also say in terms of their proposal, the law must ensure that those who were historically disadvantaged are also brought into the mainstream of petroleum trade.
Uphinde futhi umthetho sivivinyo uthi labo ade besale ngaphandle bebandluliliwe kulemboni mabavulelwe bangene nabo ngqo bazosebenza kulemboni.
It also talks to the development of skills for local communities.
Uphinde futhi ukhulume ngokuthi amakhono asemphakathini la okunalezi mboni mawathuthukiswe.
It also makes proposal, they make proposal on the conditions that must go in terms of environmental protection and enhancement.
Uphinde futhi ukhulume ngokuthuthukiswa kokuvikelwa kwemvelo kanye nokuyizinzisa ukuthi imvelo ihlale isesimeni esiphephile nesisebenzayo.
It is also important to note that it makes definitions. One of those is a definition of what is a local community.
Lo mthetho futhi uphinde ucacise amahumusho noma izincazelo ezintsha ukuthi kusho ukuthini lokhu nalokhu mhlambe njengohlelo lomsebenzi wokuhlola.
It also make proposal for 20% free carry at an upstream level by the state.
Liphinde futhi ukuthi ungenelela kahulumeni wokuhlonza kwalo oyela awukhuphukele kuma percent awu20 ingxenye kahulumeni.
It also makes a proposal that there must be 10% allocated to black-owned companies.
Uphinde futhi uphakamisa ukuthi inkampani zabansundu azithole ithuba lokusebenza ingxenye engango 10%.
Also amongst other proposal is the establishment of a state-owned petroleum company.
Ezinye zincomo neziphakamiso ezikhona ukuthi uhulumeni akabe nenkampani yakhe ezobidila ngqo nokuhlonzwa nokucingwa kalo oyela.
Which will be the one that will act on behalf of the state in the upstream petroleum level.
Okube kuyiyo ke kuyiqondene ngqo imele uhulumeni ukusebenza ukuthuthukiswa nokucingwa ko-oyela wasolwandle.
It also makes proposals with regards to the issue of the Petroleum Agency of South Africa, its authority on licensing, but also as a technical advisor to the minister.
Uphinde futhi uhlinzeka imisebenzi yophiko le-petroleum okuhlanganisa ukuhlinzeka ngosizo lobuchwepheshe.
So those are some, not the total. I'm sure some of them you will know much better even than us.
Awapheleleke amaqabantshintshi la kuningi sokunye nokuningi ezokucubungula uma sesiqhubeka abanye beni bayakwazi.
Now the reason I was explaining this is that we are from different political parties, so don't ask us questions on the bill because this bill does not belong to this committee, it belongs to the department, and there is a difference between the department and the portfolio committee of the National Assembly.
Nokunye bengifuna ukucacisa ukuthi njengoba sila phambi kwenu siphuma kumaqembu epolitiki ahlukahlukene ngakho ningabuzi imibuzo ukuthi siphendule ngalomthetho sivivinyo. Lo mthetho sivivinyo awusiwona wekomiti uphuma kwimnyango kuhlukene lokho kanjalo nembono ayikahlanganiswa.
Otherwise, don't make my committee members to call a point of order to the chair by giving an answer that I will be giving on behalf of the committee when the committee has not discussed the bill.
Ningenzi kozakwethu la ngaphambili baze bangibize bangiqondise bethi ngiba negwegwe ngokuthi ngiphendule umbuzo ubuzayo ngomthetho sivivinyo esingakawucubunguli savumelana thina ngawo.
Most definitely, all of us here, we might be carrying or sharing different views with regards to the proposed legislation.
Ngoba ngokweqiniso sonke la njoba nisibona ngenzeka sinembono ehlukahlukene ngalomthetho sivivinywa ophambi kwethu.
So your inputs will be very crucial because they will shape us into looking at the bill.
Ngakho ukuphawula kwenu nombono nezimvo zenu yosiza kakhulu ukusilawula ukuthi inqumo esiyithathayo njengekomiti zithini.
I will give you an example of something that I know it won't harm the process.
Ngizokwenza isibonelo njengazi kahle ukuthi ngeke iphazamise lolu hlelo lwanamhlanje.
In one place where we went, they said there is a problem with the definition when it comes to companies, because the definition only talks about companies. It's not saying anything about cooperatives.
Ngenzele imizekelo nje kwenye indawo esaya kuyo bafike basibonisa ukuthi lo mthetho sivivinywa awuchazi kangcono ngoba ukhuluma ngeinkampani kuphela awukhulumi ngeinkampani ehlanganiselwe zemphakathi phecelezi okuthiwa ama-cooperatives ama-co-op.
So that means when we discuss and make recommendations, we will have to look at that as just amongst other things.
Kusho ukuthi uma sesikhuluma thina sesicubungula lo mthetho sivivinywa sekufanele sikubhekelele ukuthi hayibo nama-co-op nawo kufanele angene kanye njengezinkampani.
So it's very important to get from yourselves what is your thinking.
Ngakho kubalekile ukuthi sithole kini ukuthi thini imicabango yenu noma imibono yenu.
Lastly, you also can make recommendations on how you think the law must be made.
Okugcina nani nilindeleke ukuthi nisho imbono yenu ukuthi nifisa lo mthetho wenziwe kanjani.
For instance, our common experience in every place where you are going is that departments are not consulting first with the public prior making a proposed legislation to parliament.
Njengo esikutholao nje masamba indawo ezahlukahlukene bathi umnyango awuzi ebantwini kuqale ubalungisela ukuthi bazothini bangaphawula bathini ngalomthetho sivivinywa ezodingida.
People only meet a proposed legislation when it is committees of parliament that are coming to consult with them.
Bathi abantu le mthetho sivivinywa siyibona noma siyithola ngalolo suku mase kufike ikomiti elivele Kapa sekufanele siphawule kubo.
So it's important because if you don't raise such things and they are not reflected, they will not reflect on the report of the committee.
Kubalulekile ukuthi nizisho lezi zinto ngani ngoba uma ningazisho ngeke zivele kwizethulo zethu njengekomiti okufanele siyozethula eParliament.
What you say here and we have been explaining, KZN is the third of the provinces that we have visited.
Esikushola ukuthi iKZN ingeyesithathu kuyifundazwe esesihambele.
We have already done with the Western Cape and the Eastern Cape.
Sesiqedile eWestern Cape nase-Eastern Cape.
From KZN we'll be going to the Northern Cape and Limpopo.
Uma sisuka la KwaZulu Natal siye Northern Cape bese siphinde siya naseLimpopo.
So your views are very important because if when we finished all 9 provinces, there is a dominant view, that is what the committee will have to make a determination on.
Ngakho imbono yenu ibaluleke kakhulu ngani ngoba uma sesiqedile zonke izifundazwe zo9 sizobheka ukuthi bebethini kuzo zonke izifundazwe kuzo zonke indawo umthetho kuyobe usuhamba ulandela lowo mgudu.
Now we are going to take hands of people who want to make a contribution on the proposed bill.
Sesizothatha izandla ke manje zabantu abafuna ukuphawula kulomthetho sivivinywa lo esizokhuluma ngawo namhlanje.
Please, let's talk to the bill because that's what the meeting is about.
Ngiyanicela sikhulume ngalomthetho sivivinywa kuphela ngani ngoba lo mhlangano umayelana nawo kuphela.
So we can't take something that is not about the bill.
Asikwazi ukuthatha into nento engemayelana nalomthetho sivivinywa.
Lastly, on this, there are chairs that are sitting here.
Okugcina ke kunezihlalo la phakathi kwethu siyayibona sonke.
Those chairs, if we call your number, you will take a chair that is equal to the number. If you are number 6, you will count on those chairs and take number 6.
Kulezi ihlalo esila sibekelwe inombolo ezizonikeza zona uma sikomba sithi number 6 fanele ubuze ohlala esihlalweni esiwu6 lapha.
Please feel free to express yourself on any language of your choice.
Nikhululeke ukuthi nikhulume ulimi olukhethwe yini noma olwebele.
Now let's take hands. Are there any hands?
Ngabe zikhona
Number
izandla
one.
sesayithatha?
Number 1. Okay. There's only one person. Oh, number 2. You are number 2. Number 3 at the corner there, Navy. Just take number 1, the first chair. Number 3. Number 3. Another one. I know sometimes when we go to meetings, you first have to warm up and hear others what they want to say. Oh, the problem, you are under this light. Now, number 4. Please help and give us your name and surname.
Sisize ngokuthi uma
Is there,
usukuma
is there any other hand?
zikhona ezinye izandla. Uma uze embhobheni usho igama lakho nesibongo sakho.
Yeah, I know Pietermaritzburg today is 38. The problem when you touch your face, I don't know whether you want to raise your or it's because it's hot.
Ngiyazi kuyashisa eMaritzburg namhlanje uma uthinta isiphongo angazi uma uyaphakamisa
Is there any
noma
other hand going 1,
khona omunye ophakamisayo.
going 2, going 3? You can come number 1 and help with the name and surname.
Usize usho igama lakho nesibongo.
Greetings, Ola Meshomakulu, coming from Ward 34.
Uxolani khulu from Ward 3.
Ola Meshomakulu.
Ola
Yes.
Mehlo Makhulu.
Okay, thank you very much. I think my first submission and comment must be very clear that such sittings, Chair, through you, there must be sittings that allow the community to really engage. I feel that it is insufficient that people are told that there is a bill that is going to be passed, and in you explaining and exploring the bill, there's such a very, I would say, very shallow explanation in terms of the implications of the bill for every individual that is here, but also even local communities. But just in passing, I just want us to fix that in other public hearings that you'll head to, that there must be an intensive idea and campaign in making sure that people attend of all ages, of all professions and of all skill, just to make sure. I just wanted to pass there.
Siyabonga sihlalo ngicela ukudlula nje ukuthi uma kunemthetho esivivinyo efana nale fana abantu banikezwe ithuba abantu beminyaka ehlukahlukene nabaqhamuke endaweni ezahlukahlukene banikezwe ithuba ukuthi bakhulume baphawule ngokukhululeka kulomthetho esivivinyo onjengalo.
No, to be educated about Bazo Paulangani, yeah.
Nokuthi bafundiswe ukuthi yini le kufanele bakhulume ngayo in advance.
Yeah. With that said, I personally reject this bill. And my rejection stems from all the nature that we already have an existing act.
Ngiyachitha ke mina ngokwami lo mthetho sivivinywa ngokuthi sinawo umthetho olawulwa kwezokumbewu.
An act that this committee has not really even expressed its failures and its advantages in terms of what work it has done, the transformation that it has done within the mining sector and all industries involved. So already we are starting on a back foot, that we have a failing, if we are saying we have a failing legislature and we are now creating another one, maybe we must start looking at how we can really fix the existing act.
Sina umthetho khona njengamanje ikomiti elingathathanga isikhathi ukuthi lisichazele kabanzi ngawo litshele nokuthi usebenze kanjani usebenze kahle noma usebenze kabi ngani ngoba asingeke sibe khona isidingo uma usebenze kahle wakha ushintsho noguquguquka emphakathini ukuthi sakho umunye futhi ngani uma ungasebenzi lo mhlambe nalo ngeke usebenze.
Most importantly, surrounding comments that I want to make submissions. When I make these submissions, I want us to make them in line of saying we reject the bill, but we'd rather make these submissions to be submissions that are added to the existing act, and I'll be speaking from that perspective.
Inkulumo yami izobithi njengamafishane siyawuchitha lo mthetho sivivinyo kodwa ke noma ikuphi engizokusho njengamanje sizobe sithi ngcono ukuchithiyelo lo mthetho okhona vele nje.
Okay, most alarmingly so, what we find existing currently within this new proposed bill is that the state is still playing and is being reduced to a role of just being something that gives out mining rights. And I feel that the role in terms of participation by the state must be something that we have more. And I speak this in terms of the 20% that we are still speaking about. If we are speaking about participation by the state, we must be speaking about 50% because specifically it is a custodian that must cater for all people within the province.
Uma sikhuluma ngokungenelela kombuso kwezokumbiwa nokuhlonzwa kalo oyela asisiyeke ukukhuluma ngo20% lo okhulunywa lo kulo mthetho sivivinyo ngani uma kunjalo uzobe kusho ukuthi uyabheka nje kuphela uhulumeni asikhulumele ngo50% la khona uhulumeni ezobe engumnikazi egadele abantu base South Africa lomnotho.
We must not forget that currently when we speak about even petroleum, we're speaking in light of minerals and resources that are resources that were once dispossessed and stolen from our people. So we cannot speak about inclusiveness of multi-corporations and multinational companies like your Shells and otherwise foreign companies still coming to benefit from such dispossession. There must be an intentionality from the state to ensure that the resources of the state really do benefit the people.
Uma sikhuluma ngezokumbiwa phansi namandla asingakhohlwa ukuthi lencebo ingcebo eyayintshontshiwe abantu bakithi bephucwa yona. So uma ukuthi futhi siphinde siyakhuluma njengohulumeni sithi siyalungisa siphinde sikusebenzisana nezinkampani zakwamanye amazwe evela phesheya lokho kusho ukuthi asikayixazululu inkinga njengohulumeni.
So in terms of that, we really must speak to then the question, when we're exploring that question, we speak to even the elements that you guys were speaking about, the 10% that was going to be reserved for BE, black-owned companies. I think it's very problematic to have 10% when 80% of the country is black.
Nalo 10% ophakanyiswayo ukuthi uzoba isabelo seinkampani zabantu abamnyama sibona umncane kakhulu futhi uyichilo ngani ngoba u80% wabantu ezweni abantu abansundu.
If we are to be legitimate, we must speak about numbers from 51% plus that cater to the needs of our people.
Uma sifuna ukuba neqiniso asikhulumele ngo51% kuya phezulu hayi ngaphansi.
Also, what we note with the bill is very silent about is this whole issue of what we see happening with corporations and big corporations that come and do your mining, that come and really exploit our resources. Is that in terms of rehabilitation, there's no guided check. You'll find that within even the issuing of these licenses, we find that the bill very problematically so allows the same thing to continue. We had an incident last year in firms at Boksburg, which had to do very much so with even the part of the trade of petroleum. And what we found there, that still there's no element of a justifiable response, not even just from the state, but from the companies involved from that, which says to us that this committee must then go back and discuss the whole issue of how they are going to ensure that these companies, especially that they are going to be partnering with and issuing licenses of, that they are directly involved in sorting out whatever issues arise from their trade within petroleum and within the country.
Ekunye sikubonayo okushodayo kule mthetho sivivinyo sibona ngathi uthule awusho lutho ukuthi inkampani noma seyizwatholile ama license noma iningi zazo kuyinkampani evela phesheya kwamanye amazwe kodwa ubekusasho lutho ukuthi uma seyisebenzile ke zaqeda ukusebenza zenzani ukulungisa lo mhlaba ukulungisa lo ndawo sesikubonile indawo eziningi nawo Boxburg nakwezinye la khona kungenziwa lutho uma seqediwe ukusebenza ukulungisa umhlaba ubuyele esimeni ukuthi abantu bakhona ukusebenzisa.
And there are no harsh penalties for that. You see that companies will go and mine, and the companies will go and exploit those resources. And because we're waiting for a 10-year period where they're going to, at the end of their usage of that place, where they're going to then rehabilitate the place, they mock up and they leave. So there must be at least an explanation of it saying, at least if you're going to issue a license for 5 years, for 10 years, within the first 5 years, make sure that you make people accountable by checking and investigating what you are doing and how that company is even adding value in terms of those local communities where they're working.
Kanjalo futhi nesijezo umthetho sivivinyo awuvezi isijezo ukuthi uma inkampani siyitholile i-license mhlambe ka 10 years ukuthi ayisebenze ayinikeze eminye iminyaka mhlambe emihlanu ukuthi iyawulungisa umhlaba ubuyele esimeni nomphakathi owakhele la lemboni esebenza khona uzuza kanjani akube khona ijezo ezicacile ukuthi inkampani ezosebenza phansi kwemigomo yakhona.
Most notably, the idea of a state-owned enterprise is a necessary one, and I think we can agree to that element. But it must be in terms of not just the exploration and the production of gas and oils, but there must be an issue that the money that is made by that SOE must be money that we are going to speak about a sovereign wealth fund. Tito Mbeweni spoke about it, and we don't see the legislature being silent about even that sovereign wealth fund. That's where it's supposed to be coming in terms of how that money is going to be shelled into the country and how it's going to be shelled into the resources of the land. It must not be through the royalties, but it must be through that fund that is going to be created. I think the sovereign wealth fund is the closest thing that we can have towards that, to say that then the state is going to have the capacity to be capacitated to run such things.
Lendaba yokuthi uhulumeni abe nemboni yakhe yezokumbiwa noma yokukhiqizwa kaoil wasolwandle hayi siyayisekela ngokungananazi sisithi futhi uhulumeni akangakhe nje imboni yakhe kuphela kugcine lapha makakhe imboni ezophinde yazise kucacise isizwe ukuthi kusebenzeka kanjani inzuzo yakhona iyapi uTito Mboweni wayikhulume ngephecelezi sovereign wealth fund isikhwama sesizwe la inzuzo yezokumbiwa phansi ezofakwa khona leso sikhwama yiso ekufanele sisize imphakathi kuyakhulunywa nje ngakho asikaze sabona imithetho eshaywayo eyenza ukuthi lezi zinto ezikhulunywayo zenzeke impela zibe umthetho ozolandelwa.
Also, notably so, when we speak about when you spoke about the agency that you guys want to create within this bill, like I said, such an agency is something that I think is particularly important, but the inclusiveness and the people that must be included within such an agency is very, very important. We find that in all that the state has actually a history of doing is that they neglect the labor, the Department of Labor, which still has to account, because if you look at the atrocities that are happening within areas where minerals and resources are exploited and even workers are exploited there, unions are ignored. So there needs to be an abrasive voice of people by making sure that inclusively so the Department of Labor comes on board in terms of that agency.
Siyabona umthetho sivivinyo ukhuluma nokuthi futhi akube khona ne-agency ye-petroleum ezobe ibheke ukusebenza kokuhlonzwa kwalo oyela siyakusekela lokho sithi kodwa mabangasebenzi bodwa mabasebenzisane nomnyango wazabasebenzi nganoba kulezi mayina lezi imboni sibona abasebenzi becindezeleleke kakhulu bengalalelwa bengabagqizi qakala noma inyonyana ziba khona kodwa ziyacindezelwa ayikhona ukusebenza kahle sithi ke ayithuma isebenzisane nomnyango wabasebenzi ngokubambisana.
Also, importantly, local communities. When we're saying global communities, we mean local representation, which means if there are local members of like we have councillors, in those communities, there must be representation within that agency, specifically where those communities are affected, because they are the ones who know the needs of the people. They are the ones who see the damage and must deal with the damage that is left by these corporations and by these companies.
Sithi futhi kule petroleum agency kuyo makube khona amalunga omphakathi la lemboni esebenza khona ngoba yibo ababhekana ngqo nobungozi neyinkinga zalokumbiwa okwenzakalayo la sithi mababe ingxenyeke elawulayo nobhekwayo kuze umphakathi owakhele leyo mboni nawo uzosizakala kulomnotho.
Two last things before I sit down.
Okubili okugcina bese ngihlala phansi.
What we request this committee to go back and do, particularly part of this, is to go and investigate and find proper experts who will investigate the transformation that has happened within the mining sector, specifically even the downstream and the upstream of this industry, particularly which has happened under the MPRDA.
Sizocela ukuthi ikomiti libuyele emuva lisitholele ongoti abazophenya ngokujulileyo nokubanzi ukuthi lo mthetho okhona njengamanje bunjani ubuhle bawusebenza kanjani usasebenza kanjani ukuguqula ubuso bemboni yezokumbiwa phansi nezimayini futhi ukuthuthukisa amathuba wokukhulisa lemboni ahamba kanjani wona na.
All right. Lastly, it is a question of meaningful participation. We need, particularly this bill or even the current act that it stands, to go and ensure that there is meaningful participation of the black person within this industry.
Okugcina ke sifisa ukuthi ikomiti lihambe nokuthi liqiniseke ukuthi ingxenye noma iqhaqheba labantu abamnyama balibamba ngokusobala noma ngokucacileyo noma ngokungananazi ukuthi bayingxenye nabo lemboni yezokumbiwa.
And we're not just talking, when we speak about black person, we're not just speaking about the existing bourgeoisie and the already existing tinderpreneur that is already exploiting the system.
Uma sikhuluma ngomuntu omnyama asikhulumi ngomuntu omnyama osenze imali kumathenda noma umuntu omnyama lo sithi ibourgeoisie phecelezi esingathi umuntu omnyama osefundile kakhulu ubukhono bokubusa wahlomula.
Yes, we're speaking about the fit towards that black person on the ground.
Sikhuluma nje ngomuntu ojwayelekile nje ovalelekile amathuba okade lokho ebuka izinto zenzeka yena engangeni.
Thank you very much.
Siyabonga.
Igama lami ngumduduzi waNgcobo ngisuka eMoy River.
I'd like to thank the opportunity. My name is Duduzi Ngcobo. I am coming from Moy River.
Ngizobonga nje kwikomiti ukuthi sibe negcawe kanje la sikwazi khona siwumphakathi ukuzokusho izimvo zethu.
I will thank this community first by giving us an opportunity to come and also voice out.
Ya uya nje phambili ke ngizohlala kuyona ibhili ukuthi mhlambe sike sahlala thina siwumphakathi sayixoxa le ndaba ukuthi sidinga ukuthi kuyona ibhili kucace ukuthi mhlambe ipercentage sikhala kakhulu ngepercentage ukuthi ayande ke phela mhlambe ikiye ku 30%.
I will register before this committee that as a community we have discussed this bill prior coming here, and we have come to the conclusion that the percentage that is being offered is not enough. We feel that at least 30% will do for us.
Bese futhi siphinda siya lapha ya kuma petroleum rights. Siyayazi lento bakwethu ukuthi le bill okwamanje isavuna abantu abanemali. Ayizama ukuthi ivuleleke phela kuma petroleum rights khona nabantu kazana nje bezokwazi ukuthi ba-apply makuvuleka ithuba lama petroleum rights.
We are also concerned when it comes to the rights that are given, outlined on this bill, because they only speak to those who are already benefiting. It does not speak to lay people who are not in the mainstream. So we are asking that the bill is liberated so that it can at least include those who are not part of the mainstream.
And futhi ke ngifuna ibill mhlambe icacise kube sobala lento le ye social responsibility webhuti. Siyazazi igameko zenzekile ko Marikana kukhiwa kokhandwa I diamond nemayini kodwa umphakathi mawuthi yabuka eceleni kwakhona kugcwele imkhukhu ngizama ukusho lokho ukuthi akuvuleleke lo.
We are also concerned when it comes to the issue of social responsibility because it seems that those who are the elite, those who are benefiting out of those dealings are not concerned about what happens to the public. You will notice that even in and around the vicinity itself where this mining takes place, there are still shacks. People are not living in proper houses. Therefore, it's concerning that a mine is working in that particular vicinity. However, people in the surroundings are still living in shacks.
And futhi wethu bengicela ukuthi kube khona kule bill lento ecacisayo ukuthi awufundiswe imphakathi. Let's say mhlambe kukhona ipetroleum etholakalile khona nje la KwaZulu Natal. Asazi lutho thina ngalezo zinto yabona. Kufanele kucace lokho akube kwibill ukuthi akube khona uqeqesho phela oluzoba khona emphakathini eyakhele lezo ndawo kube kuyona le bill.
Also, we are concerned in terms of the education that is given to our societies, because you'll find that such mining opportunities established or happen to be found within our communities. However, the people residing in that particular vicinity are not educated, are not even made aware of the opportunity. They don't even know that there are such opportunities. So we need that those who are finding such opportunities make the community also to be aware of such opportunities.
Ya kucace mfethu kube kule bill ukuthi kwenziwa njani ngemphakathi ake kuthiwe kutholakale yona lo gas no petroleum lo mphakathi abantu bavele bathathwe nje basuse kuthiwa bayise kwezinye indawo yabo abantu bakhandela izindlu zo 20,000 akusizi lokho yabo fanele kucace kule bill ukuthi kuyokwenzakalani emphakathini okutholakale khona lezo zimbiwa etholakalayo.
Also, it's concerning that when such dealing starts to happen or such development starts to happen in our communities, people are moved from where they reside and without being consulted properly. So that is concerning. Also, what are going to be the benefits of those people who were previously residing in those particular places when they are being removed? Are there going to be any repercussions to that effect or any compensations to that effect?
Ya ukugcina nje futhi bese ngiya kwezemvelo ukuthi ibill le ayicacise ngoba ubona namanje sikulezi zinto global warming akube khona kule bill ukuthi in terms of environment ezemvelo kwenzakalani.
Also, this bill should speak to the environment crisis that we're already experiencing in our country, that's being climate change. So it should be able to tell us as to what is going to happen in terms of ensuring that it does not contribute either negatively to the already climate change that is affecting us.
Ya ngibonge bese sicela ke kuona ke I-portfolio committee ukuthi ake izinto enje efana no Department of Mineral Resources what akwehle phela kuze emphakathini lezi indawo uthola ko Pitoko Pretoria namadolobha amakhulu kodwa imphakathi emincane awatholi. Ngifuna kuvele lokucace ukuthi kwehlele uyangithola ngithini ba.
I'm simply going to ask that the Department of Mineral Resources also does allow people on the ground to access the information pertaining the issue of mining also. It does not have to be the elite only that gets to be informed as to what happens in the mining sector. In other words, I'm simply saying, I'm asking this portfolio committee to come to the ground or rather to converse with the Department of Minerals and Energy to come to the people and address them or rather to educate them as to what happens and how can they contribute towards the economy themselves. I thank you.
Having contributed such, are you for or against the bill?
I think I have stated that for, but there are additions like your 30% and other things.
Ngicabanga ukuthi ke bese ngikushilo kolokho ukuthi ke engifisa ukuthi ke kwenzeke ukuthi kubhekisiswe ke indaba le ka 30% ukuthi ke iyanakekelwa bese kuba ke lezi ezinye izinto bese ngeke ngayibeka ke futhi.
Yeah, so I think I'm clear. I'm for the bill, but let us, asifake ba.
Ngicabanga ukuthi ke icacile ibhili ke le noma kumthetho sivivinya ngiyawusekela ngiyawusupporta ke wona kodwa ke ake sibheke futhi ke nezinye ke izinto phezulu kwawo.
Sanibona. My name is Mlondi Zuma from Umngeni Municipality, Ward 9.
Ngibingelele ke nonke igama lami ngimlondi Zuma emngeni municipality qhamuka ke eWard 9.
Okay, firstly, I think we were supposed to be given the existing constitution of mineral resources so that we were going to review it and see how has it been productive to the economy of our country.
Ngicabanga nje ukuthi kokuqala bekufanele ke kwenzeke ukuthi sinikezwe ke lo mthetho ke sisekelo lokuthi noma ke lo mthetho kolawula ukuthi ngisebenza kanjani yona ke le emboni yezongibhiwa phansi sikwazi ukuthi nathi sikhulume ke ngayo sikhuluma into esiyibona ngamehlo sazi ukuthi ke iziphi ke inhlaka esikhona ke kuwo lo mthetho sisekelo.
Because from that we're going to be able to make our views and recommendations on this bill.
Kube ke besinayo lo somqulu besokwazi ukuthi ke senze ke nathi ke imbono yethu ke ecacile ke kulo mthetho sivivinyo okukhulunywa ngawo sesinolwazi lokuthi kahle kahle yini le okukhulunywa ngayo.
Because even now we can see that the existing constitution, even though we haven't got enough time to review it, but we can see that it doesn't benefit the poor class of our country.
Sathi ukuthi ngisho kanje kuba ngiyabona ukuba noma singathola ngethuba lanele lokuthi ke siyibhekisise kwayona ke lesomqulu ke esisebenza ngawo ulawulayo kwamanje kodwa ke siyabona ukuthi awenzi okwanele uqinisekise ukuthi ke abantu ke baseningizimu Afrika basemazingeni aphansi bayahlomula kuona ke lo mthetho.
It's only benefits those who are already rich, and our economy, if it grows like that, if it grows with those who are already rich, and those who are already starving, our economy is not going anywhere.
Okwenzekayo ukuthi ke lo mthetho usekela labo abesebevele ke sebethuthukile ngasohlangothini ke lwezezimali. Uma ke kwenzeka kanjalo lokuchaza ke ukusobala ukuthi ke labo basemazingeni aphansi abantu ke singathi ke bahlwempu abanawo ke amandla ngasohlangothini kwelemali bazoqhubeka nje becindezelekile ke isikhathi ke sonke.
So my view, I totally reject this bill because I can see that the department is just trying to do the formality in order for them to be able to account.
Mina ngasohlangothini lwami ngizokusho nje ngingananazi ukuthi cha ngiyawuphikisa ke lo mthetho ke ngakho ke kungananazi isizathu ukuthi ngiwuphikise ukuthi ke ngiyabona ukuthi ke umnyanga uze kithi ukuzosazisa nje ke phake sinqumo ngiyacabanga ukuthi ke vele sebesithathile sebenzela nje ukuthi kungashiwo ngelinye ilanga ukuthi bathatha ke sinqumo bengakhulumanga nomphakathi.
Thank you.
Siyabonga.
Sanibonani. Sanibonani.
Greetings.
Ngikuhlengiwe wakandlela oqhamuka kumasipala wasemngeni kaWard 10.
My name is Hlengiwe Ndlela. I'm coming from Emngeni municipality from Ward 10.
Siyabonga kakhulu ikomiti eliphambi kwethu. Siyalibonga kakhulu ngendlela yokuthi likwazile ukusikhumbula ukuthi siwumphakathi kufanele sibe ingxenye yale bill. Mina nje okokuqala nje cha ngiyayiphasisa ibill.
I would like to thank the community before us, the committee before us, for affording us an opportunity to come and be part of these proceedings. On my side, I will say that I'm in for the bill, or I'm in favor of the bill.
Ngibonga kakhulu ukuthi sebehlalile phansi babonile ukuthi impilo imile emphakathini yethu base bebona ukuthi abayenze ngalolu hlobo abayenze ngalo. Manje ke sibonga kakhulu ngoba youth izokwazi ukubenefita la Phinde futhi thina siwomama ngoba yithina esiphethe amakhaya. Siwomama sizokwazi futhi nathi ukuthi sibenefite umphakathi wonke nje ngoba amathuba emisebenzi awekho. Ukuvuleka kwezinkampani kuzokwenza ukuthi kunciphe lamathuba amancane emisebenzi. Ukuvuleka kwama-co-op ngoba akhona ama-co-op kodwa awasebenzi.
I believe that the opportunities that are going to come if this bill was to be passed were going to be very positive for us, more specifically us as women. Also, the youth in our communities, they are the ones who stands to benefit if this bill was to be passed because the unemployment rate is very high in our country and in our societies. So for we believe that even those who are in cooperatives stands to benefit should this bill be passed.
So siyabonga kakhulu nje enike siyawuphasisa mina ngifuna ukusho ukuthi ngiyawuphasisa mina lo mthetho ukuthi awuqhubeke ngoba futhi esizocela siyacela ukuthi uma ngabe zikhona lezi inkampani mhlambe ezingenayo ezindaweni zethu zisebenze akube khona phela ezizokushiya emphakathini lowo oseduzane naleyo ndawo yabo akade beyisebenza ngoba lokho kuzosiza futhi kuzokhuthaza nomphakathi ukuthi ubone ukuthi hawu kanti siyingxenye siyabonakala sibalulekile ukuthi eneke ethina siphansi kodwa bayakwazi ukuthi basicabangele. Akube khona ngempela abazokushiya umphakathi lowo oseduzane ukwazi ukubenefita kuleyo nkampani noma kulokho okuzobe kukhona eceleni eduzane. So siyabonga kakhulu nje siyacela ukuthi bandla cha awuphasi umthetho siyawuphasisa.
We'd also like for the community before us to consider the communities when this bill has been passed because I am in favor of it. However, I feel that the community should benefit also from those multinational companies that are going to come and dig in our places. There should be an insurance on our community's side that they're going to benefit out of such. I thank you.
Once more, we appreciate the inputs as they have come through. I was whispering to the chairperson earlier that it seems we are going to have one of the shortest meetings when you are saying going once, twice, and so on. It's for that reason that we extended, even not talking about the time limits. However, as he had said, you know, when people talk, others get rejuvenated and they start jogging. So you get some of the ideas. And obviously some of the other members have been coming through. We would want to use this opportunity to give a second round to those who would want to make an input. And then given how we see who will be coming through, I would monitor the question of time. But otherwise, we are happy with what we are getting through, either for or against. We are not judgmental. We are still going to discuss as a committee, as parliament, as legal people, and so on across the 9 provinces' comments and inputs. So we would like to give a chance to some more names, some more hands for us to get some input from the community.
Sibonga kakhulu kweyiphakamiso ke esenzenzile malungu omphakathi abavumelana nayo nalomthetho sivivinyo nalabo abawuphikisayo sithi ke kwamukela ke konke lokho ngoba ke akukhona kwethu ukuthi senilawula ukuthi nikhulume kanjani. Kepha ke ngibonile ukuthi eqaleni ngesikhathi ke sithi sinikeza ke ithuba ukuthi ke abantu baphame beze ngaphambili kuvele ukuthi cha ngenzeke mhlawumbe ke uhlelo lwesenamhlanje lube lifishane kakhulu. Kodwa ke siyethemba ukuba njengoba sonikeza ke ithuba lesibili ukuthi nize ngaphambili mhlawumbe nizokwenza ke futhi ke ezinye izethulo bakhona ke abanye benu abasafisa ukuthi beze ngaphambili babuze imibuzo okanye benze ke futhi ke okuyizethulo ke phezulu lokho sekukhulunywe ke ngakho. Ngakho ke ithuba leni lesibili leli lokuthi ke nize ngaphambili nizokwenza ke izethulo uma kukhona ke sinifisa ukuthi ke nikusho.
So can we have hands? I see the first hand there in the khaki cap, the second hand, number 2, number 3, the lady, number 4, 5, 6. Oh, the gentleman was just stretching his hands. I thought it was a hand. Oh, okay. All right. It's also going once. The possibility of being rejuvenated again after this round is a bit limited. You might be skating on thin ice for thinking that it might come through, but you are not limited for now. So there's the hands that we have.
Sizocela bangabe bese khona abanye basafisayo sisayivuleleke indawo basangeza ngaphambili.
And we would like you to start. You
Sawungeza
can come
ngaphambili.
forward.
Sanibonani. Igama lami nguBusi. Isibongo ngokamshengo.
Greet you all, my name
Emkhambathini.
I'm greeting you all. My name is Busi. I am coming from Mkambatini.
Okokuqala umthetho ngiyawusekela. Ngalezi zathu engizozisho.
Firstly, I would like to register that I support the bill and I'm going to state my reasons for supporting such.
Intenze ukuthi ngusekele. Njengamanje makuthiwa kukhulunywa ngokubiza kuka petrol. Kuyasikhanyisela ngokusobala ukuthi ubiza kangaka ngoba uthathwa ngaphandle ulethwe ezweni lethu. Kungakho ngithi ngiyawusupporta lo mthetho ukuthi awuze la.
The first reason I would like to register that makes me to say that I'm in support of this bill is due to the fact that I have noticed that the oil and petrol that we are using in this country is imported from other countries. So that's the reason why I'm saying we should pass this bill so that it can assist us to reduce the import of such.
Engicelayo ke ukuthi uma ngabe kuqala lolu hlelo sicela luyifake youth.
We are also pleading with the committee before us that if this project happens to start and resume in our communities, youth should be included.
Lufake umuntu one disability.
Also, people living with disabilities must be included in this project.
Ngoba kubukeka sengathi umuntu ohluphekayo njengamanje uzohlupheka kakhulu because akanawo lama resource azokwenza akwazi ukusebenza.
Because
Uma kufika kwento yama co-op asebekhulume ngawo abafowethu bathi akhona. Njengamanje sibuka ukuthi isho ngathiwa umuntu submithile into evezayo ukuthi une co-op efanele ukuzuza i-co-op yakhe since nifikile namabhizinisi ashoyo ukuthi sifuna umuntu one co-op ozokwazi ukuthi athole something emphakathini wakhe kodwa end up engatholanga lutho asazi ukuthi kusuke kuqhamuka kanjani lokho mhlambe before kukhulunywa izinto zama co-op fanele nisibhekele ukuthi kungabe kuzokwenzeka ngendlela enobuqiniso yini noma kuzoba nokwenzelela.
my main concern that I would like to register before this committee is that those who are poor, it seems that the gap is widening in terms of narrowing. There is no hope that the gap is going to be narrowed by this project. However, we are saying, should these projects go through, those who are in corporations should also be taken into account. We do have a feeling that something is not being done correctly or rather accurately in terms of issuing the deals and the agreements when it comes to those who submit their certificates, who are eligible to be part and parcel of these projects. But it happens to be that they don't get any agreements or deals in return. And we need this portfolio committee to take us into confidence to say that if this project goes through, we are also going to see those who are doing co-ops being the beneficiaries of such a project.
Siphinde siceleke ukuthi since nikhona phambi kwethu buholi ngiyathemba ukuthi mhlambe abanazi kahle enihlele eduze kwabo thina asinazi siyocela ukuthi nisondele komasipala bethu abancane nabakhulu ukusondela kwenu kubona kuyobe kunika izimeya namakhansela ukuthi abheke labo bantu abaxakekile ngempela ekutheni babenefite kulama business angase avele noma kulemisebenzi engase ivele ngoba ngeke kusiphathe kahle ukuthola nisilandela abantu abavele aba-rich e-Europe ukuthi bazorana lento enikhuluma ngayo eThekwini ukuze sikwazi ukuthi nathi sithole akube abantu abazinhlupheko yethu kangcono kunani ngiyabonga.
I would also like to register before the committee in front of us to say that the people should be the beneficiaries of such a project should it go through, because it concerning that those who are already beneficiaries will continue to benefit and those who have not benefited before will continue to be oppressed. So it is my registration that when those multinational companies come into this country, it should be given preference to those who knows us better in terms of understanding where we come from, understanding the depth of the poverty in this country, understanding the marginalization that exists also in our community, so that those who were previously marginalized can be the beneficiaries to these projects. I thank you.
Greetings to the chairperson of the committee and all the committee members from Parliament.
Sibingelele usihlalo phambi kwethu, sibingelele amalungu onke akahambisana kanye nawo baphuma ke khona eParliament.
In front of you is Ncedo Ngcobo from the region of Umgungundlovu.
Omphambi kwenu Ncedo Ngcobo ophuma ke lapha esifundeni saseMgungundlovu.
No, thank you very much for the opportunity, but I must firstly just put my stance out there that we reject the bill on the basis that we believe that instead of creating a whole new legislation, the bill must be added in the existing bill. We must add in the existing bill, because we have not exhausted to say this is the shortfall of the existing bill. We have not been taken through and guided on what is the shortfall and how that existing bill can be amended.
Ngizocala ngokucacisa ukuthi ke umthetho wesivivinyo kwelo okuthiwa kungenzeka ukuthi mhlambe kusetshenziswe isikhathi nasi asivumelani nawo. Isizathu ke senza ukuthi singavumelani ke nawo ukuthi ke kwayilo okhona bese singakezwa ukuthi ke ikuphi la ongenzi kahle khona. Asizazi ke izathu ezenza ukuthi ke kubonakala sekubalekile ukuthi ke kulethe ke omunye phezukwayo ke lo okhona singazi ukuthi ke lo okhona wona yini inkinga ngawo. Bese sizothi ke uhlanganisweni ke lwethu thina cha lo okhulunywa ngawo manje mawuhlanganiswe ke nalo okhona bese usetshenziswa ke ndawonye kubonakala ukuthi umphumela ke omuhle uyaba khona yini.
Firstly, I would like to touch on the subject. I mean, every speaker who has gotten up here has spoken on the subject on how, as black people, predominantly are dominating from this bill and are benefiting from this bill and are benefiting from the submissions made. Number one.
Ekuqhubekeni ke nenkulumo yami ngizowuthinta nje enye izinto esithintwe abantu abaningi abeke bafike bakhuluma ke la ngaphambili. Okufaka phakathi kokunye abantu ke abansundu ukuthi ke abantu ke abansundu kuzokwenzeka kanjani na ukuthi ke bayingcenye enkulu ke ezoba ke abantu abazozuza kule mthetho sivivinyo ke ohlongozwayo.
Number one, we must define when we say black-owned businesses, because we understand that in South Africa, black-owned businesses are mainly dominated by Indian people and Asian people, and it's only a few and select few that are actually African blacks that are actually benefiting in black-owned, so-called black-owned businesses.
So cela ukuthi ke sicacise ke kuyona ke lo mthetho sivivinyo ukuthi mangabe ukhuluma ke ngabansundu okuthiwa ke bazohlomula kuona ke lo mhlahlandlela uzokwenzakala bazohlomula ke bengobani ke labo ngoba siyazi ukuba inhlaka ehlukahlukene kukhona abomdabu wasendiya nabo kababalwa njengabantu abansundu abanye ke baphuma mhlambe kwezinye ke izizwe kodwa ke nabo babalwa ngaphansi kwethu njengabantu abansundu kodwa ke lokho akusho ukuthi bonke abangabantu abansundu abangumsitho ukuzimelela kuleli izwe laseNingizimu Afrika kwanye ke ezwenikazi lase-Afrika bazothola kanjani ke na laba abangumsitho ukuzimelela ke ezwenikazi laseNingizimu Afrika kube ke nabo bathole ke ukuthi kubabhekelelwe kuna ke lo mthetho sivivinyo.
We must establish a state-owned petroleum company that will explore, transport, and process petroleum products. This SOE must contribute to the sovereign, my colleague here spoke of a sovereign wealth fund, must contribute to the sovereign wealth fund, most of the profits, so that all SA people must benefit.
Esekubhekeleke ngasohlangothini kwethu njengoba ke washo ke uza kwethu ukuthi ke lolu hlelo ake libhekelele kakhulukazi ke ukuthi ke luthathwe lufakwe ngaphansi ke kwakhe uhulumeni njengoba bese kukhulunyiwe umbuso kube wona ke ophatha lo mnyango mase ke umbuso uphethe lo mnyango awubheke osohlangothini kwelezokuthutha uphinde ubheke futhi ukuthi uvula ke uhlaka okuyilona kolizobhekelela ukuthi izimali ke zonke ezitholakalayo njengezinzuzo kulomsebenzi sinekezelwa ke kulabo okuyibona ke abazidinga ngempela noma ke abantu esingathi ke bahluphekile ke basemazantsi.
A compulsory skills transfer by private sector and also foreign companies towards local small businesses must be implemented. So we want local businesses to have the skills and to be equipped with the necessary skills in order to participate meaningfully in the industry.
Sithi ke ngasohlangothini lwethu akube impoqo ukuthi ke labo asebena nolwazi kolujulile lokwenza nelokusebenza kulezi imboni ke ezololu hlobo abafundise phela bafundise ke labo abangakabe nawo lawo mava okusebenza ke kulezo zindawo ukuze kwazi ukuthi ke kukhuliseke ke bonke abantu ke balingane kungabe nje ukuthi ke labo asebazi bahlala ke bazi bese ukuthi laba bangazi bahlala ke bengazi lokho kuyosiza kulekelela ukuthuthukisa labo ke abathathwa njengabantu ke abasafufusa noma abasafunda umkhakha womnotho.
Having said that, local companies that when applying for operational licenses fail to meet certain criteria, instead of just rejecting them and leaving them, the department must have a certain plan in order to support and assist those local companies. We are talking about local companies that show potential, that they can have capacity to participate. They must not just be rejected. The department must have a support system in order to assist these local companies.
So kubalula ke futhi ukuthi ke kuthanda kungazweli kahle ke kuthi ukuthi ke lezi inkampani okuyizona ke ezingezendawo zabantu ke bala eNingizimu Afrika zithola ke ukuthi ke zikhishilwe ngaphandle zivalelwe ngaphandle isizathu ke salokho kuye kuthiwe ke qualify okanye ke ininingwane bayilethayo ayanele ukuthi bakwazi ukuthi banikezwe izimvume zokusebenza kodwa ke ukunokuthi ke bavalelwe ngaphandle bese beshiwa kanjalo thina ke sithi uma sekutholakele ukuthi imininingwane abayilethayo ayanele noma ke ayihambisani nemigomo ebekiwe abaqeqeshwe phela banikezwe kulwazi olwanele ukuze mabebuyele emuva babuye sebengcono sebazi ukuthi kuphi nakuphi labantu afanele ke balungise khona.
We must make it law that 50% of all petroleum that is discovered in South Africa must be processed in South Africa to benefit all local companies.
Fanele sikwenze ke kuba umthetho ukuthi ke lonke uhlobo luka oil olutholakala ke emhlabathini ke wala eNingizimu Afrika awuphinde futhi ke uhluzwe khona la ezweni lethu laseNingizimu Afrika ukuze lokho kuzoba inzuzo kubona bonke ke abangamalungu alelizwekazi laseNingizimu Afrika.
I move to the next point, and I'm very worried that we are not attending to this point when we are here, and that is the point of safety, the point of health precautions with regards to mining petroleum, because we know there's health hazards when it comes to mining petroleum.
Ngizodlulela ke mbonweni wami ke olandelayo ngibheke inhlangothi ke imbili engicabanga ukuthi ke ithintwanga ngendlela ke befanele ithintwe ngayo kokuqala ke ezempilo ngoba ke siyazi ukuthi ke ezokumbiwa ke phansi zinenkinga ke mase kuza ngasohlangothini kwelezempilo abantu bomphakathi ke labo ke abasuke behlala eduze kwalezo zindawo siphinde ke futhi sibheke ezokuphepha ukuthi ke bazophepha ke kangakanani abantu ke abakheleke lezo zindawo la kuzobe kwenzeka khona ke lolu hlelo.
businesses that are applying for operational licenses, there must be a thorough environmental assessment of that area and public consideration and public consultation.
Bese kuthi ke labo abasuke befaka izicelo zokuthi bayosebenza ke kulezo indawo beqhubeka ke wona ke uhlelo ke lomsebenzi kufanele ukuthi ke kucace ukuthi kunohlelo ke oluqondile noluzwakalayo ukuthi ke banolwazi olwanele yini na mase kuzwa ngasohlangothini ke lwezemvelo ukuthi bazokwazi ukuthi benze isiqiniseko sokuthi ke ezemvelo nazo ziyanakekeleka okanye ziyabhekeleleka ohlelweni ekuzobe kusetshenzwa ke ngalo.
We do not stop there because we know that businesses is private capital, and capital has a tendency of always finding a way to maneuver itself. So there must be a 3-year probation on these businesses to say if they are not adhering to or complying to the petroleum industry regulations, health and safety of workers, and also the surrounding community, then their licenses must be revoked, and there must be a serious punishment for those businesses who are not adhering to the regulations.
Asizokugcina ke lapho siphinde futhi sengeze ukuthi ke lezi inkampani okungenzeka ukuthi zisebenze zithole izimvume kulezi indawo zokusebenza akube nesikhathi siyobekwa kungabe isikhathi esibalelwa ke ezinyangeni ke ezintathu okuyisikhathi ke leso sokuthi ke bahlolwe nje ukuthi ke ngabe bakulungele ngempela nokuqhubeka nokusebenza kulezo indawo bese ukuthi mangabe ke sekuphele kulezi nyanga ezintathu kubonakala ukuba ke banamaphutha ke amaningi bese inqanyulwa ke imvume yokusebenza kwabo kuphinde kungagcini lapho bese kuba nejeziso futhi abophinde babhekane nazo makwenzeka ukuthi kuthola ukuthi khona ke ukona abakushiye ngemuva uma ngabe sebeqedile ke ukusebenza.
Once this probation they have passed, every 10 years we must have there must be an obligation that these businesses, we go thoroughly to go check on them, that they are still adhering to and complying to the regulations of this industry. And then, do you want to, okay. And then after we've seen that they're still adhering to, we must ensure that there is nothing that is being contaminated. Predominantly, the water supply must not be contaminated. We must talk on fracking. Fracking, we have seen all over the damages of fracking. So we must speak on fracking and check that these businesses are adhering to the regulations of this industry. Thank you very much.
Siqaqiseke futhi ukuthi ke sifisa ukuthi ke lezi inkampani ezobe isebenza la zinikezwe ke iminyaka ke elinganiselwe kuyishumi bese ke ziyobhekwa futhi ukuthi ngabe ke zisahambisana yini na nemigomo ezibekelwe ukuthi zihambisane ke nawo kanye ngisayihlonipha isayilandela yini leyo mgomo ngoba siyazi ukuba kunezingqinamba kuyebhekwane ke nazo esigcina sezenza ukuthi abantu baseNingizimu Afrika babhekane ke nenkinga yokungaphephi kanye nezempilo mangabe kwenzeka ukuthi lo msebenzi kusebenza waqedwa futhi ungenziswanga ngendlela ke efanelekile. Siyabonga.
Nginibingelele igama uWendi wakabuthelezi ngiqhamuka eKawa 10 eMngeni.
Greetings to you all. My name is Wendy Buthelezi. I'm coming from Ward 10 at Umngeni.
Okay, okuningi ngeke ngisakuthinta cause awuzakwethu sebekuthintile la. Okwami nje engifisa ukuphawula ukuthi besicela bakithi if useyiqala le ndaba yale bill noma sewuqala umsebenzi njengoba beshilo ukuthi bacela ku-involve i-youth. Yes, siyafisa ukuthi i-youth ithole imisebenzi and then kodwa kuphinde kubhekelelwe ke because mekuthiwa i-youth kunalento ekhona kuhulumeni wethu ukuthi i-youth ebhekelelwa abantu akwi-age of 18 to 35 years. Sibuye sikhohle ukuthi kunabantu abasafit enough ukuthi bangasebenza while beno 35 up to 50 years.
I'm going to register before the committee that my first concern will be that our youth should be beneficiaries, as some of my members have already registered that before the committee itself. However, I do have a second concern to say that this thing of classifying youth as people who are from the age of 18 to 35 is problematic because we do have individuals who are fit and super to work and contribute to this country. However, there are sidelines due to the fact that they are over the age of 35.
Why ngisho kanje? Because mina la ngisebenza la ngikhona wodini engikuyona ngisebenza ngomphakathi kunabantu age of 35 kuya phezulu to 50 okuyibona ababhekelela amakhaya abagcina bengatholi lutho abatholi madranti abatholi lutho akukho nje ababenefita kona and then again bese ngibuya kulento yokumayina besifisa ukuthi mithiwa kuyaqala kuyamayinwa endaweni enizibona zirathi ezikulungela ukuthi kumayinwe njengala ngisuka khona eMpophomeni mina ngikhula about 1996 ngikhula endaweni yaseMpophomeni kwakunendawo eyayilapha phezulu endaweni ekuthiwa kaShifu kwakufika inkampani lapho ekukhuleni kwethu bezomayina lapha kodwa ekugcineni ekuhambeni kwesikhathi akusenzeki lutho kwagcina sekunemgodi kwafa abantu lapha yana ngenxa ukuthi inkampani ezazifika lapha azange zawuqeda umsebenzi wabo and then sekugcine sekuvalekile abantu sebegcine bakha imizi khona kuye kube nokuhlala endaweni yethu kuzamazama umhlaba kuyona leya ndawo kugcine sekuaffecteka nabantu abahlala elokushini so besifisa ukuthi meniqala nizenza nibheka lezi ndawo engamayinwa kusona ezino-oyela no-petrol no-paraffin especially ngakuthina ngiyazi ukuthi kuyinto ezikhona kulezo ndawo ke kubhekwe kube nabantu onjiniyela abazobheka ukuthi leyo ndawo mase beyomayina ikulungele ukuthi kumayinwe khona abantu abahlala surrounding yona angeke yini baze ba-affecteke angeke baze bagule angeke bathole inkinga ekuhambeni kwesikhathi ukuthi kuthiwa imizi ibhidlikile ngenxa yokuthi bekumayinwa kuleyo ndawo.
I'm registering my concerns when it comes to the question of youth being constrained only to the age of 18 to 35, simply because at my ward where I'm coming from, there are individuals who are above the age of 35, however, who are fit enough to be able to contribute. And they are the ones who are doing the job on the ground. They are the ones who are assisting the community. However, they don't have benefits and they do not get support from government as people who are the ones who are carrying on their shoulders the youth of that particular community. Now, if I come back to mining, I have issues, just a few issues with mining, simply because the area which I come from, called Mpophomeni, we used to have a mining activity taking place in that particular area. However, that has come to an end. It was halted and no reasons were afforded to the community to say, these are the reasons why such activities were stopped. However, those activities, they left behind uncertainty because now people or other community members who are residing in that particular area are facing from time to time quakes from those areas. I believe that those who were doing the mining there did not do a proper check-up before they left the area to see if that particular area was still conducive for individuals to stay or rather remain in that particular area.
And okugcina engizokucela if useqala mhlambe kuchuzwa inkampani mhlambe eqhamuka ngaphandle ngizocela ukuvumelana nozakwethu ngala ukuthi at least u50% or above kuba abantu bala eSouth Africa and then ku-check ukuthi nalabo bantu baya-qualifya in for ukuthi bangawenza lo msebenzi again kuyekwe into yokuthi kuzonikezwa abantu umuntu oyedwa ufica umuntu uthola ithenda yokuclean uthola ithenda yokuyomayina uthola ithenda yani aqede kubenefit yena nozakwabo abantu kuyinqwaba abantu abangasebenzi emphakathini yethu ngoba siyabona isimo sala eSouth Africa ukuthi isime kanjani and baningi abantu abahluphekayo ziningi ingane ezintsha ezikhulisa imndeni yabo baningi abantu abakhubazekile abanganakwa abangenze abanga-includwa ey'ntweni ezenzakalayo ku-government wethu so siyacela bakithi ukuthi konke okwenziwa uhulumeni wethu ngaba yiphi iloku into ayivezayo wonke umuntu abenefithe especially abantu abangathatha entweni ngiyabonga.
I would also like this community to consider that at least 50% share of these projects be given to companies that are black owned. So that's going to assist in terms of uplifting our communities, uplifting our youth systems, and ensuring that those who are poor benefit from these activities, because we know as members of the society, as we reside in these communities, that there are people who need to be uplifted, there are people who need to be educated and trained to be able to get themselves into the upper streams. However, they can't do that without the involvement of those who are in the higher structures. I thank you.
The previous Mayor Buthelezi, I could not get clear, maybe I missed it, whether she supports or is against the bill.
Thelezi uqeda ukusuka sizocela ukuthi asinikeze uvulo lakho ukuthi uyayisekela na umthethosivivinyo noma cha. I support it.
Ngiyanibingelela igama ngumthokozisi ngwakwamagwaza ngihlala eMbali phansi kwa Ward 16.
Greet you all. My name is Mtsoguzisi. I'm coming from a place called Mbali from Ward 16.
Awubangusasheshe isibongo. Okokuqala ngicauthi ngibingelele izikhulu zonke ezikhona lapho phambili. Iphuzu lami elokuqala ngithi angibeke ukuthi njengoba ngizwile abahlonishwa bephakamisa ukuthi beze emphakathini, ngokwazi kwami ngazi ukuthi umphakathi omningi usemalokishini la abantu abahlala khona naseyindaweni zamakhosi. Uma bezothula into enhle kangaka ngibe sengidumala uma ngibona abantu abala endlini bese ngizibuza ukuthi uma ngathiwa ke siyavuma sonke ukuthi yakwenzeke kanjalo kuzokwenzeka kanjani.
First, I'd like to greet the officials before me and then further register my disappointment in terms of the location to which this event is taking place. Because I was hoping on my part that if such a project, which seems to be a good project, is brought to the public, then the vicinity should be at least in the place where members of the society were able to access it easier, which are going to be the places where the officials, such as our chiefs and our people, are found.
Ephuzweni la leli abalishoyo mayelana nezokumbiwa phansi nginombuzo othi njengoba bethi ke bazoba ufuna ukuthi bambe phakathi olwandle bakubhekile yini ukuthi bangakanani abantu abahluphekayo abasizakala ngezinye izinto ezitholakala olwandle. Number 2, kunezilwane lapha ezinye zazo abayidlayo abantu njengofishi nanezilwane ezinye eziyimvelo engaphansi kwamanzi ukuthi uma ke sebehlela ukuthi ke bayoyiphazamisa leza izilwane kuzokwenzekani ngazo, ngoba kuye kukhulunywe ngamalungelo ukuthi yonke umuntu unelungelo. Ngiyacabanga ukuthi nazi izilwane zinawo ilungelo lokuthi mayiphile. Bakubhekile yini ukuthi uma sebeyongena phakathi olwandle zona zizobekwapi?
2 things are concerning on my part. The first is that I wish to know and understand from the committee itself as to whether did you take into account the fact that the sea, as you've suggested, this mining project is going to be taking place at the sea or rather in our oceans. Is it going to be conducive for the ecosystem itself? Is it going to be conducive also for the people who are beneficiaries of the particular ecosystem there, the fishing people who are used to do fishing stuff there, in terms of not destabilizing the ecosystem?
Egameni elika petrol lo kuthiwa uyasibizela thina kuyaxaka ngoba ukuthi ke sengaze nje mhlambe uthi ke kuphazanyiswa ezinye izinto eziwusizo kwabanye abantu ekubeni ezinye izinto ezenza upetrol zikwazi ukusuka la ziyowe kwamanye amazwe siyithenge thina uthola ukuthi sizithenga nje sezibiza njengokuthi uthola ukuthi ke kulamazwe ase-Africa ukuthi uyafika upetrol khona ungcono ukunala eSouth Africa ekubeni ezinye izinto ezenza ngewe upetrol zithathwa khona la eSouth Africa bese kuthi elinye iphuzu njengoba kuthiwa ke le bill lena eyozokumbiwa phansi ngabe ke nje sebemtholile yini umuntu mhlambe ongwala eMzansi ozokwazi ukuthi ke asenzele yona ke le project noma kusazolandwa amanye amadoda njani ziseyinkulwa aqhamuka mhlambe emazweni azoyicebisa ngemnotho yethu ngoba sibona thina la eSouth Africa kufike kukhulunywe kamnandi ngezinto okuthiwa zizosiza thina kodwa mase sekuphakathi nayo indima uthola ukuthi wena muntu ikakhulukazi onsundu uthola ukuthi awusabe kwandawo ukuthi ukuphi njengoba nje sinabantu abasha othola ukuthi uma sila abantu abasha kuba istebhiso ogitshelwa ngaso kuthiwa hayi sizokwenza kanjena kuze kusizakala abantu abancane uthi uyabheka uma sekwabiwa ikhundla lapha kuthathwa abantu obona ukuthi kade babehlomula abancane abantu abasatholi.
It is also concerning because we do know on fact that the resources that are used by multinational companies abroad are being extracted in our country. However, they leave this country as raw material and come back to us as finished goods, however, very expensive. Now it is concerning because we are the ones who suffer the consequence of buying such expensive goods made out of the resources that were extracted in our country. That is the first point. And secondly, I would like to know from the portfolio committee as to whether now the expert that is going to run this project, is he or she found in this particular country of ours, our own? Who's going to be the person who's going to head this particular project? Because we are sick and tired of people who come from other countries like Europe and exploit our people and take our resources and benefits abroad outside the country without benefiting the youth, which is used mainly as the scapegoat by those who wants to enrich themselves using the ticket of the youth that ends up benefiting nothing out of the dealings and agreements and projects that the governments promise that they will benefit from.
Okunye ngoba ngabe ngiyezwa ngiyimina nje ukuthi mhlambe ke ngabe ke kuba kuthiwa ke mhlambe ke njengoba bethi ke bazongena olwandle befune ezokumbiwa mhlambe ke lezokumbiwa mhlambe into mhlambe engasiza entweni ethinta ugesi ngoba ugesi kahle kahle uthinta wonke umuntu noma ngabe usezingeni eliphansi noma usezingeni eliphezulu ngoba oka petrol uma ngicabanga bengabheka bona ukuthi bengenza kanjani kube khona izinto abayibuza emazweni awo makhelwane kuze bekwazi ukuthi upetrol ugcine uwehlile ngoba uma kunesimo esifikayo mhlawumbe uthola ukuthi ke khona la kufanele ukuthi mhlambe makuvotwe khona uyakwazi ukwehla upetrol uze ugcine ufike kulelo zinga mhlambe ukusuke kubonakala ukuthi abantu abahluphekayo bengakwazi ukuthi ke bathole injabulo okwangaleso sikhashana kuthi ngaqamba mhlambe maqedwe ukuvotwa bese ke usuyakhuphuka futhi neupetrol yikho ke ngithi ke mhlambe uma ngabe ke bethi mhlambe ke asibheke ukuthi asingene olwandle njengoba kunezokumbiwa phansi zifike zihimbe endaweni kusala imizi yabantu ikrekhekile kusale imigodi nanaso olwandle okungenzeka yini ukuthi uma sebeqedile kusazosala imigodi le esala eindaweni ezihlala abantu na.
I'm also concerned because I'll make an example with myself as a layperson who does not understand the actual project of mining petroleum in our oceans. It's concerning because it is not fully explained as to why is it that the government or those who are in powers don't go and consult with those multinational companies who have experience in doing the job and then at least come back to us and explain fully so that as people who are not versed with the context can also be able to grasp and understand what it means to us as a people. However, I'm also going to have to register the fact that after these multinational companies done their job, got what they wanted in our places, in our oceans, they leave behind a trail of houses with cracks, a lot of damages that are unaccounted for. So it is concerning because we don't know if there's going to be accountability after such project has been accomplished.
Number ngoba lapha yana uma ngibheka elinye iphuzu kunabantu abahlala mhlambe eduze kwalo ulwandle kunamahotela lapha akwazi ukuthi angenise umnotho babhekile yini ukuthi uma sebeqalile ukusebenza mhlambe kuzoba ngakanani ukuthikamezeka okwaleyo ndawo bese futhi ngibuza ukuthi ke njengoba ke bezothula ibhili namhlanje ngabe ucwaningo ke bese belenze ngokwanele yini ukuthi uma isiqalile ke leyo project zingakanani izinto ezizothikemeza mhlambe abahlali okwalolo lwandle abahlala kulona mhlambe noma kuleyo ndawo noma bathatha ngokuthi okuningi uma sivumile thina ukuthi mhlambe siyayiseka le bill sekuyobonakala ngendlela.
I'm also concerned when it comes to the question of the economy that happens along the coast, because we do all understand that there are quite a number of hotels which I believe bring quite a lot of revenue to our coffers as a country. However, I'm concerned because I'm not sure if there's been any research or proper investigation to the concept of mining in our oceans as to whether what impact this is going to have in the economy that is happening or taking place along the coast. If there are going to be any repercussions at all after such project has been completed.
Bese ngibuza ukuthi ke uma ke siqala ukusebenza bungakanani ubuqiniso ukuthi
ima baba magwazi ngiyacabanga ufike late.
Yebo.
Manje ngubani ozokuphendula la? Kuba sishilo ukuthi ayingomthetho wethu lo.
Yebo.
Ngumthetho ophakanyiswa ngumnyango.
Yebo.
Manje akayakho umuntu womnyango la uzophendula. Usibuza imibuzo kunothi usitshene wena ukuthi uthini. Yabona laba bephambi kwakho bashila ukuthi sawuphikisa lo mthetho. Nazi izathu zokuthi manje sothi lesilenza ucwaningo uzosukuma umunye wethu la. Athi uyithatha leyo nto oyinikeza abantu ukuthi ulenze ucwaningo. Ithi wena ngomlomo wakho uma ufuna ukusho. 1 ngicela kube nocwaningo olonziweyo olubonakalisayo ukuthi le nto imihamba izohamba kanje. Ngicela kube khona into ethi amahotela athintwe na ukuthi awazophazamiseka njobe seduze nolwandle. Angifuna ube ngikusokolisa ngiyakude ngeke size kuwena sizobuza ukuthi uyithini izimvo zakho siphinde sibuye thina sibe nezimpendulo sisazokubuzelani ke wena uma sinazo izimpendulo. Asinazo izimpendulo soba nezimpendulo uma sesixoxile thina as a committee ngalela langa sixoxa ngalo savumelana saphikisana uma siphikisana size sivote usungasibuza ke ngalelo langa sokunika izimpendulo hayi namhlanje.
Should be notable that the portfolio committee before us does not have all the questions. Unfortunately, today we are looking for contributions, as those who came before you have already done. We've appreciated their contributions. We're also expecting that you make your contribution without asking us questions, simply because we have not come or arrived to any decisions ourselves. We are only looking to make a meaningful contributions, and then we can make an informed decision after deliberations have been meted.
Ibhili uma izosiza abantu bakithi nabantu abasha njengoba ke kubekeka ukuthi ke kukhona into abangasizakala siyayamukela ngoba abantu base South Africa ibona ngathi ke baxakeke kakhulu ekubeni behlezi ezweni labo kodwa nje sekuyibona asebezi inkotha ngqoko ngiyayimukela ije.
I would further register that I do support the bill. However, it should speak directly to those who are not beneficiaries, those who have not benefited before, to ensure that they are also empowered. However, on my part, if it's going to achieve that, I will say that I'm in support of the bill. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I see we are left with two people who are going to make inputs for their benefit.
Ngiyabona sisiselelwe ababili sebezophawula ukuze nje sisizane
And the benefit of the other people who have put across their views,
nokuthi bonke ke sebephawulile
which are very welcome. We register everything.
sawemukela konke nisho siyakushicilela.
However, we must not miss this opportunity. We as a committee and the bill that we come here that was proposed by the department, we are not coming with a project.
Asingalahlekelele ithuba ukuthi njengoba sila njenge-portfolio committee sizela ngalomthetho sivivinyo owaphakanyiswa umnyango asizile nje nethuba lomsebenzi noma phecelezi i-project.
Yeah. So it's not a project, it's not a drilling project, it is not an exploration project, it's a proposal that deals with the policy that will govern if ever we get to that stage.
Akusiyo i-project le asikhulume ukugubha noma ukumba okuthile ndawana thizeni kodwa nje sizodingida la umthetho sivivinywa ozoba umthetho kusasa ozoshaya.
Hence we are asking, what would you want to see, what you don't want to see, or you don't want this thing at all?
Yingakho sibuza ukuthi nifisa ukubonana kulomthetho sivivinywa noma yini ningafisa ukuyibona noma nje aniyidingi nje konke.
I was just mentioning it for the purpose of your benefit, for the last two gentlemen, for your benefit.
Angicacisele laba babili abazophawula ukuthi ke akube sobala.
Ndibulisa kusimfumene liho ngaphambili from Mkambatini under Ward 3.
Greetings, I'm Simfumeleni from Kambatini.
Yes. Ndizophikisana nale bill ebekwayo okanye le kuzobuzwa ngayo.
I reject the proposed bill.
According to e-bill, according to current bill 80, we as black companies, South is 30%, 20%, I mean.
The current bill is suggesting that or is submitting that we are getting 20% black participation allocation.
Yes. So, Londo, if you can nombuzo kumuba, yeyipi inqubo eniyifakayo kuthi as blacks. I-state or i-committee kufanele size kuthi ayukuba sizosibuza ukuthi zithini izimvo zethu but ukuzobambisana nathi.
That gives occasion in my mind what kind of leadership as a portfolio committee you are providing, because in my view you shouldn't be coming to us, you shouldn't be coming to ask from us what our contributions, but you should be coming to us to guide us.
According to the question that I have on me, we can't have our resources. Then from those resources, we only get such small amount of percentage.
In my view, we can't be blessed with so much mineral resources and yet be allocated such a small percentages for us to participate as black people.
Yes. If the state continues with the current bill, it means you continue trapping us systematically and to continue as slavery system, because slavery is no more physically, it's in the systems, religious systems, the economic system, the political system, and the educational system.
Uma uhulumeni eqhubeka nalomthetho sivivinyo kusho ukuthi uzobe uqhubeka ukusicindezela usenza izigqila ngani ngoba ubugqila manje akusafani nakuqala ukuthi umuntu ugqila azobukhoma kodwa ubugqila manje usubona kwezemfundo kwezenkolo nakwezomnotho.
Yes. And my point is, a bill have to contribute at least 50+%.
Ngokwami ngithi lo mthetho sivivinyo awunikeze abantu kusukela ku 50% kuya phezulu.
Like the state to provide us with education that teaches about, which is going to teach about us about minerals, mining systems, and that education have to be primary.
Sifisa uhulumeni usinikeze imfundo yethu ekhuluma ngezezimayini ekhuluma emayini leyo mfundo futhi
To the university stage or to the tertiary level. From the start, because people who come from Europe, they were taught about mining system, and they come to us to employ us.
imfundo yezezimayini ayingaqali emanyuvesi asinganqwamani nayo emanyuvesi ayiqale phansi kumazinga phansi emfundo siyazi sithi sidibana nayo emanyuvesi sibe siyiqonda kahle ngoba abantu abavela ko-Europe emazweni aphesheya basuke beyiqale emazingeni aphansi uma sebeza la kithi so sebeze bezosiqasha.
Enkosi.
Thank you. Greetings, my name is Prince Vilagazi from Ward 5 Mpendle. Thank you for the opportunity to come air my views as a citizen of South Africa.
Ukubeka nje izinto ezimbalwa ezicutshungulwayo kulolu daba lwezomnotho ngibuka nginokudideka kakhulu ukuthi lelizwe siphila kulona izinto eziphathelene nopetrol nooyela kukhulunyiwe kwathiwa singcolisa izwe lethu esiphila kulona.
A few things catching my attention here is the issues of oil and gas. These things have been mentioned many times that they contribute so much to the air pollution and the climate change issues.
Yebo ngiyavuma ukuthi uhulumeni usebenza kakhulu ngemali.
I do agree that government needs capitalization.
Mase kuhlukumeza umhlaba esiphila kuwona.
And then that affects directly our earth.
Manje ngimi lapha ukuba ngizomela nami indawo yangakithi ukuba ibe ngcono.
I stand here therefore representing my area. We're hoping for the betterment and the development of our area.
Kodwa ngamandla engiwona lapha ukuba nami ngizobeka amazwi amabili amathathu.
With constraints that I have for a few words that I may have to submit.
Ngibuka lapha ngithatha lapha kwisicelo esikhona sa 50% wabantu abamnyama.
I'll pick up from the submission of 50% that let black people participation be allocated 50%.
Ngoba uma ngabe ngibuka uqeqesho lwezomnotho kusuka phansi emazingeni aphansi emfundo lunzima kakhulu ukuze lifike emazingeni aphezulu.
My observation, the training for people to participate meaningfully in the economy is lacking from the lowest level to the highest.
Uma ngabe ngimi kule ndawo angikholwa ukuthi kungangisiza ukuthi nguvumele umthetho noma ngiwuphikise.
Standing before you, I don't think it won't help much to accept or to reject this bill.
Kodwa okubalekile ukuthi iziphathimandla nabacubunguli mabacubungulisise kahle bakhumbule ukuthi sikhuluma ngezimpilo zabantu base-Afrika baseMzansi.
But my submission is that those in power and our researchers should do their work diligently, taking into cognizance that they're dealing with the lives of the people of South Africa.
Ngoba kulomhlaba esiphila kona ukubuka ukwenza kwezinto kubukeke ngathi isizukulwane esizayo sizothwala kanzima okudlula thina.
When we look at the things going around in our dispensation, it's becoming clear that the next generation will suffer the most.
Ngicela lokho ukuba ngimi lapho kuleyo ndawo ngibonge ithuba.
May I hold it right there, and thanks so much for the opportunity.
No, thank you very much for the contributions that we have got.
Sibonge kakhulu izethulo esiyitholile.
Quite interesting, quite talking to the bill. We will collate everything.
Ziyajabulisa futhi ziqonde ngqo kumthethosivivinyo esikhuluma ngawo. Konke nikushilo sikuqoqile.
Everything matters on this.
Konke nikushilo kubalulekile.
So, also interesting is and I hope I'm not taken to task about the rejection, ne, and the liking of the clauses in the same breath.
Okujabulisayo ukuthi ufike uze umuntu ethi hayi ngiyawuchitha lo mthethosivivinyo uthi usamamela phinde hayi ngiwuthanda la umusa uthi la sichaza.
We are going to throw it in the pot, all of it.
Konke ke kodwa nekushilo siyokufaka embizeni le esifike nayo.
So we have come to the conclusion of our presentations, and if by chance you have something written that you would have liked us to also consider further, the table is there for any other submission that you might have, maybe written or so. We would be in a position to also include it in our consideration as we go forward.
Sesiqedile izethulo zomlomo kodwa nina eninezethulo ezibhalwe phansi siyacela niyilethe la etafuleni eliphakemeyo nizethule khona nazo sizoyiqoqa siyifake ebhodweni sizoyinaka nazo uma sesipheka pheka yonke lembono.
From here, I would give over to the chairperson to chart the way forward out of here.
Kusukela manje ngizawunikeza usihlalo asikhokhele siye phambili.
No, thank you, Honorable Volmaran.
Siyabonga Mhlonishwa Volmaran.
Just few issues of clarity.
Okumbalwa nje okucacisayo.
I'm not responding to the bill.
Angiphenduli umthethosivivinywa.
Your inputs, as I said, are your inputs.
Konke nikuphawulile kungokwenu.
Ubaba oqala is it I know ukuthi uxolani. Is it mehlo makhulu ngakubizi
okhulume
ngesibonge ngesona sakho ngixaba nabantu bakini.
Ngithi umahluka umehlo makhulu.
And then ubaba uMagwaza.
And Mr. Magwaza,
you are correct.
Niqinisile impela.
But let me say this thing very cautiously.
Ngicela ukusho lokhu ngokuqikelela nangokucophelela.
There are other things we have to go back and look at them.
Zikhona impela izinto ekufanele soyivakashele soyibheka futhi.
In the political language, there's something called the mineral energy complex.
Le umukhuluma ngepolitiki khona into ekuthiwa ezokumbiwa phansi nezamandla uqubana kwalezo zinto.
I'm not undermining others.
Angifuni ukuthi lokho kunye ngathi angikunakile.
It's not a mistake that is called the mineral energy complex. It's because it's one of the most complex sectors.
Akusilona iphutha ukuthi sibiza lento ngendida noma ngengijikebo ngoba ngempela lezi zinto muyihlanganisa zimpica badala.
Generally in society, there are things you don't need even to read. You can just come in and say, this is what needs to happen.
Okujwayelekile nje empilweni kunezinto ongalokho udinga uyicubungula ovela usho kalula ukuthi hayi sekuzokwenzeka lokhu manje.
The problem with the minerals energy complex is that it's economics.
Okuyinkinga nqaki enkulu inkinga nqangi enkulu ukuthi lezi ezongimbiwa phansi nezamandla zihlangene futhi zithinta imali.
So when we go back, we want to argue that it should not just be treated like any other sector or any committee in parliament.
ngoba lezi zithinta umnotho savumelana ukuthi ayingathintwa nje njengokujwayelekile kwezinye eParliament.
Because maybe even people who are sent to do advocacy and other things themselves don't understand what they are telling you.
Ngoba nalabo bantu besuke beqoqa ulwazi bekhuluma becacisa befundisa ngaleso sifundo suke benganakho ulwazi oluphelele noma olunzulu.
So the first part of it will take into consideration that part.
Ngakho ke okokuqala enikuthulile ayimpela sizakunaka.
The second thing, fortunately, those who know me, I'm from here.
Okwesibili laba bangaziyo bayazi ukuthi hayi ngowengabathi ngisuka khona la.
Laba basemngeni sihlala sonke emngeni.
Those from Imgeni, I come from there, we together there.
One of the things we've detected is the lack of cooperation between national parliament, and I'm using the word advisedly.
Into esesiyibone kakhulu ukungasebenzisani phakathi kweParliamente likazwelonke.
Baba Magwaza, the venues don't belong to national parliament, they belong to the municipalities.
Nendawo ke njinji akusizona ezeParliamente kazwelonke, indawo ezeumasipala.
So we can't decide where the municipality must take us.
Akusisona ke isinqumo sethu ukuthi umasipala uthasihlangane kuphi.
We can request the venue.
Singayicela thina indawo.
To be honest, we did ask for venues. Almost all your venues were fully booked.
Uma ngitshela iqiniso nje sicela indawo eziningi ezahlukahlukene endaweni zabantu zonke bezisebenza.
But let's also be careful, ne? The only advantage that Pietermaritzburg are better than others is that the city, the city hall is at the center of the same townships that you are talking about.
Asivumelane ke futhi ukuthi ngenye into esinayo ngeMaritzburg ukuthi city hall le esikuyo ikwi center imaphakathi nawo wonke amalokishi akhelela eMsunduzi.
But if we're given a hall in Imbali, we're not going to refuse to go there.
Noma le holo lisenkabeni ke yedolopha kodwa kuba kuthiwe mhlamba siye nembali besingesigolosa bezoqonda khona ngqo.
But someone from Sobantu would say, why do we have to go on the other side of town?
Kodwa kumuntu osesobantu uzothi hawu seqe idolopha saye sawufika le mbali kuyiwapi ngempela.
It's worse if someone is coming from Umshwati.
Angiphathi ke uma kusuka umuntu le Mshwati.
The issue is that there is a problem, not that people would not have come, there is a problem on communication.
Inkinga esinawo la noma umanka ezokuxhumana.
That we must concede, there is a problem with communication.
Asivumi induku lapho ukuthi hayi ezokuxhumana kwethu azizinhle kahle.
But we should not be defensive and then start to point fingers to others.
Asizami ke ukuphika nokuvika bese sikhomba abanye injumbana.
We must just go and sort out that part on how do we deal with the coordination between the National Assembly. I can speak only for the National Assembly, not the NSOP. Between the National Assembly and municipalities, especially because the issue of public participation is in the Speaker's office.
Into nje kufanele sithuthukise kakhulu ukuxhumana phakathi kweNational Parliament, iParliament likazwelonke kanye nomasipala ngoba lokhu xhumana komphakathi neParliament masiza abantwini kanje kwenziwa ihhovisi likaSomlomo eParliament.
The last thing, I'm in many social group, but I can tell you now, most of the people who were there who said they are coming are not here.
Ngiyawazi amaqoqobana akhona aningi ezokuxhumana kwabantu. Ngibonile futhi abantu abaningi bebethi bayeza la abekho la.
So we will have to deal with this is the problem. Let me say this thing. Sometimes this is where the problem lies. And I must say this thing with extreme caution.
Kwesinye isikhathi inkinga ibala ngizosho lokhu ngokukhulu ukucophelela.
Sometimes as South Africans, we wake up when effects of decisions that were taken start to hit the road.
Kwesinye isikhathi thina ke baseMzansi Afrika siphaphama ngesikhathi imthelela yeinqumo sezishaya.
I'll give you one simple example. You know, when you say this thing, there's sometimes forums that are called stakeholders, which is why even yourselves, you didn't say, "Ngizamile ukuniqhatha," but I can see you are uncuttable.
We got some organized forums that we call stakeholder forums. I try to influence and guide you, but I see you are not influenceable.
From Uxolani to Prince, they didn't. Now I can't write that thing.
Sukela kuXolani sezofika
I said-
ekugcineni ngishilo ngathi hambani kanje bafowethu.
Please tell others where we are going. eThekwini tomorrow, they must be able to say.
Ngicela ke nitshele abanye manibuyela ukuthi njoba siye eThekwini kusasa mabathi kusasa.
Usumphumelele uhambile now. I wanted to say to him, he should say the primary thing when a legislation is made is for the government, which is the department, either to prepare and say, this is the bill that we want to take to parliament, or amendments, and then it must consult with you, like we are doing. But what we find is that you fight with us for coming to you. You don't fight with the people who prepared the law without coming to you.
Esikuthola ukuthi nina nibe senilwa nathi nisitshela ukuthi hey niza kithi ningasilungiselanga nalomthetho kanti kufanele nina nithi manikhuluma la umnyango awuqale kithi qale uzokhuluma nathi kanje ngoba senze ngaphambi ukuthi nibizwe la nizokhuluma neportfolio committee yilokho kufanele ngabe niyakusho sikushicelele sambe nako.
So tell those one, just immediately after this meeting in eThekwini, let them be credible that we are coming. And this is what they must make for the notes.
Go influence others that will be coming tomorrow morning. Guide them, give them some clear marshalling orders, how they need to register their concerns as a directive going
The
forward.
process of legislation is very important.
Ukubaluleka kokushaywa komthetho kubaluleke kakhulu.
I'll give you an example.
Isibonelo sokuqala,
If you say 50% or 51%,
uma uthi 50% okanye u51%,
but in most areas where we go, the numbers of those who say 50 and 51% are smaller than the numbers. Because if here you are, let's say you are 60 or 70 or 100, and in other areas where we go, people who don't talk about 50 or 51% are almost 500. It means the weight against 50 or 51% is already in favor of those who are against or who have said nothing about 50 or 51%.
ake senze umzekelo ke sithi nina la mhlambe njengoba ni100 ngiyagalekisa nonke nithi hayi cha ukhuphuke ibe u50% isabelo sabantu abamnyama bazongena kulemboni kube nina kuphele nisho la suke siye kwezinye indawo abekho abantu abakhuluma le ndaba ka50%. Uthothi labo bantu labo bona abaningi bawu500 abayikhuluma indaba ka50%. Izoqhubeka lento ka50% ngeke iqhubeke.
So please, I urge you next time when there is something that is a legislation, and there's nothing wrong, by the way. I heard someone saying, no, abebe ngaphambi kwami sebe-" no. Even if you repeat 16 times, we don't have to get bored, because we count at the end of the day, the numbers, amongst other things, when we debate, those who will be for this and for that, then the numbers will kick in. How many people said they are doing this? So that's why we said it's not a meeting where you say something, the other one dispute. It's a platform where you state what you want to see. If you are repeating something that would have been said by someone, yes, it might seem to be taking too much time, but the truth of the matter is that that is something that must be recorded.
Ungasabi ukuthi uphinde into esisho ngomunye. Leyo mhlangano kusona umhlangano wokuzophikisa but okubalekile ukuthi sazi isibalo sabantu abavumayo nabaphikayo ukuthi bangaki. So okubalekile nje ukuthi noma kuthiwa iyaphinda lonto kashumi noma kangaki okubalekile la sizela ukuthi sizoyizwa ukuthi bangaki abantu abathi bayavuma ukuze inombolo zekhulu.
Now, there are people who might have come here, know or having an understanding of what the bill is all about. There are people who might have come here having no clue what the bill is all about. But there are people who might come here, have made their inputs, but now they discover that they've got more other things that they want to tweak around what they said.
Labo abesebekhulumile babona ukuthi badokuningi okunye abasafuna ukukusho ngani ngoba khona abanye bezela beze ngomthetho sivivinywa abanye bengazi ngomthetho abanye sebezwile ukuthi umthetho sivivinywa lo ukhuluma ngani.
You can then write to this email address.
Sesonke ke esikhona la sesingabhalela kule email address.
It's A-boss, all small letters, A-boss.
Iti A boss ngamagama amancane.
Boss is double S.
O boss lo O B O no S ababili.
At parliament.
At parliament.
.gov.za. .gov.za.
.gov.za.
Or A Kotze, K-O-T-Z-E.
Nomut A Kotze njoba yesho sihlalo.
At parliament.gov.za. Even if you had made an input here, we can give you latitude that we're still gonna do, we're left with about 6 provinces.
Noma kuthiwa ukhulumile la siyakunikeza umusa ukuthi qhubeka usibhalele ukuthi izimvo zakho izwakala ngoba sisaka kwezinye ifundazwe eziyisithupha masisuka la.
It means it might take us almost early May to finish all the provinces.
Ongenza ukuthi soze siqede ngoMay ukuzungeza zonke ifundazwe.
Because we only use weekends as during the week parliament is in session.
Ngoba sisebenzisa amampelo sonto kuphela ngoba kusukela ngephakathi neviki iparliament esuke lihleli eKapa.
So when you write, you can write and say, in addition, or I want to restate my submission or my presentation on these grounds on the bill. We will then take, like each member now is taking notes. We will then take what you would have sent. It's not a submission. We take it as a correspondence because the period of submission was opened and closed for written submission. But you have a right, by the way, not even on this bill. You've got a right to write to the portfolio committee on a matter relevant to it, including an area where, because somebody said we must investigate. We can't just stand up and go anywhere. Tell us that there are these particular mines or these particular quarries. Can you please conduct an oversight investigation on that one? But in this case, it will be a similar correspondence. We will distribute it to all the members of the committee.
Sibhaleleni kulama emails engiwashiyo zonke izinto ezithintana ngqo nalo mthetho sivivinyo noma nje ezithinta ezokumbiwa kanjalo nezamandla. Sibhaleleni sitshele indawo sokwazi lapho siphendulele bonke futhi ozakwethu bayuthole lo ncwadi oyobe uyibhalile.
Now, as we move from here, from here, I said we are going to eThekwini at the Westville Civic Center.
Westville Civic Center kusasa.
The next provinces, I did say it will be Northern Cape and Limpopo.
Northern Cape versus Limpopo.
So when we are done with all the provinces, only then, as a committee, we will first compile a report of all the areas where we conducted public hearings and adopt that report.
Uma sesiqedile zonke isifundazwe sobe sesakha isethulo esithi ifundazwe zonke zithe zathi bese sayimukela leso sethulo.
After that, the committee will then deliberate on the bill, including the issues that would have been raised in the public hearing.
Emveni kwalokho ikomiti ke bese liyahlala liyacubungula liyadingida ukuthi uthini umthetho sivivinyo zithini izethulo ezivela emphakathini.
Then there will be another process for the committee in its deliberation where it will now on the bill deal with the bill clause by clause.
Bese ke ikomiti ke futhi liphinde liyahlala lihamba nesigaba somthetho sivivinywa sicubungula ukuthi uthini kahle kahle.
After that, the committee will make recommendations on the bill.
Emveni kwalokho ikomiti bese ke lethula izincomo kulo mthetho sivivinywa.
That report will be taken to the house, which is the National Assembly.
Leso sethulo bese siya kwiParliament likazwelonke.
If the report or the recommendations are in favor of the bill,
Bese kuthi uma izethulo noma izincomo zesethulo ziusekela umthetho sivivinywa
and the National Assembly also passes the bill,
kanjalo neParliament likazwelonke liuphasisa lo mthetho sivivinywa
then the bill will be taken to the NCOP.
bese kuyedluliselwa kwiNCOP.
Lastly, there is a difference between, there is a difference between a bill and an act.
Kunomehluko phakathi komthetho sivivinywa nomthetho osushayiwe.
The reason this is called a bill, it's because it still has to go through the processes of consultation.
Yingakho kusabizwa ukuthi umthetho sivivinywa le nganoba kusafanele kuzwe izimvo zabantu.
Only when that bill has been signed by the president, it becomes the law.
Kungaleso sikhathi kuphela umthetho sivivinywa ususayinwe umongameli. Yilapho kuphela ophenduka khona umthetho.
After that, it's now called an act, not a bill.
Emveni kwalokho sekusayinwe umongameli sekuwumthetho akusesiwo umthetho sivivinywa.
So this is a process of consultation until it is signed, it will continue as a bill.
Njengamanje njengoba sisaxhumana nani kusomthetho sivivinywa yoze usayinwe umongameli bese iba ke umthetho.
Your inputs were very valuable. We noted them. And thank you very much. The meeting stands adjourned.
Isiphakamiso zenu bezibalekile siyabonga kakhulu sesiya umhlangano suyaguqa.
Anguvula umhlangano. Kwenzeke nje iphutha elincane. Kunobaba manje age ibuyinatsike ihlupha. Sinobaba la Honorable Bilankulu, the time being introducing members ebengekho.
I'm not reopening the meeting, but